And I've heard the Sex Pistols was like, this is the ultimate rock and roll band. I was waiting for this band to show up. Had everything. But we talked about the relationship with punk rock and like Debbie Harry, who's kind of an MK Ultra Playboy bunny, right? And so there's that, and um, the Sex Pistols, who were put together by Malcolm McLaren, uh, and the Clash, who were put together by Bernie Morrison, and the connection between punk rock and these guys, and Tavistock, and the Police, and Stuart Copeland, and Stuart Copeland's dad being the head of the CIA in the Middle East. How about that? Stuart Copeland's father, the drummer of the Police, was head of the CIA in the Middle East. And Miles Copeland's brother, and Joe Strummer's father being a diplomat in England, and having diplomats are basically spies. And you go into the Discord scene in Washington D.C., which I think there's a story there, because there's a bunch of young punk rock kids whose parents are working in and around the United States government, the Beltway. And that became a huge kind of punk rock center for a while in Washington, D.C. Minor Threat and all that stuff. I don't know. So again, we look at our lives and we say, what did we sign off on, and why did we sign off on it? And as we move further away from it, why was that so interesting? It's not that interesting anymore. And I guess again, it's part of the process of evolution. But when we take into account that we're getting insight into programming in ways that we've never had before, we can see it from a completely different light. And so Saturn strips things away. Strips things away. That's the nature of Saturn. And so with Sagittarius, it's stripping away our belief systems. It's stripping away our philosophies. It's stripping away the things that we assigned meaning and value to, that on a philosophical level we embraced and brought into ourselves and into our psyche and into our lives and into our spirits. So we're all going through this process, the stripping away, getting closer to the truth. Now what happens when we do that? The forces of illusion don't like it, because they want the lie to continue, because they profit off the lie. There's not a lot of money in truth. There really isn't. And it's not sexy. It doesn't sell products. I love it when we get these pharmaceutical products. They give you the truth at the end with the disclaimer. My God, those disclaimers. So you get the truth at the end. It could cause suicide. If you have any of the following: bloating of your extremities, extreme headaches, nausea, vomiting, suicidal thoughts, external bleeding, please contact your physician as soon as possible. It's true, right? It's what happens. So they give you the truth at the end. But what would happen if they inverted that? I mean, first of all, you get 2 minutes of one person, maybe two people, and they are just having a kick-ass kind of moment in time with these drugs. They're with their friends, with their family, they're on swings, they're in bathtubs, they're holding hands, they're laughing. Oh my God, I've been liberated from my restrictions and my pain. Oh my God, I'm a human again. Look at me. You get 2 minutes of that, and then you get about 10 to 15 seconds of the potential side effects and what should happen or what could happen and what you're supposed to do as soon as it happens. What if they turn that around? What if they gave you 2 minutes worth of people vomiting, having blood coming out of their ears, running around, telling people that, that they are completely terrified and have been having really dark thoughts about ending their life. What if you had 2 minutes worth of that? And then you had 15 seconds of, but you could have a really wonderful life, enter back into the mainstream of your experience, and have loving and fun-filled activities with people that are close to you. Right? What if you got 15 seconds of that and 2 minutes worth of the side effects? How many of those drugs do you think they would sell? You see, truth doesn't sell. What if you had a commercial where again it was like you're gonna take this pill and nothing's gonna happen, or you're going to use this cosmetic and you're gonna look basically just the same, only people will know you're using a cosmetic. None of it would sell. That's why the truth is not marketable. They try to market. I'll tell you where they market truth is when they give you statistics with commercials, like around tires or something like that, right? I start talking about how, the Yokohama tire lasts 30% longer, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's where they market truth. They market truth as it relates to factuality, which is really just data. And it's not even really truth, but it masquerades as truth. And those commercials are pretty boring, right? They're kind of boring. Oh, okay, that's the truth. This tire is better than that tire. Oh, I get it. Okay. But we've got to make it sexy again somehow. We have to make it sexy. I'll work on that. Well, this is about as close of an approximation to the show that I did before, and doing it again. Where am I now? And I did it for about the same amount of time. So I've basically done 2 back-to-back shows. One doesn't exist and one does exist. And you've heard the one that now exists. And I think it's about as good as the other one. I think it's about as good. Oh yeah, the other thing I talked about, and I wanted to talk about this too, is this whole kind of notion. By the way, I put up a post on Facebook. One of my readers and a guy who's kind of becoming a friend, Alex Kazemi. He's a very interesting young man. And he just wrote a piece for the New York Observer about Finsta accounts where young people are doing sort of deplorable acts. And he's not judging them, right? He's not judging the act. He's basically saying, hey, you may want to rethink this because somewhere down the line you're going to see this and you're going to feel shitty about yourself. And he's basically making this premise that young people are trying to emulate sort of the trashy, vulnerable, kind of revelatory moments of pop stars, but without understanding what these people have gone through, which for all intents and purposes is horrific in many cases. Anyway, I put that up on my website, but I was talking about, no, I'm sorry, on Facebook, you can read that. It's actually really good. But I was talking about this whole notion where we've created a planet of horrors on the internet. And it's not just people that want to charge you your credit card so they can take their clothes off in front of you on a webcam or whatever. But it's also, people that have like YouTube shows in a lot of ways. I mean, I had to kind of go there. Right? Why are people doing this? Why are there a plethora of YouTube shows? Is it because they're so committed to the truth? Well, I think there's some of that in there. I'm not going to discount that or disregard that. But I think a lot of it is vanity. We have access to these tools now in ways that we've never had before. And I'm really happy for that. I'm happy for it. But I think we're kidding ourselves at times when we create media. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I like to do radio like this. Because, I've struggled with YouTube in some ways. Like even like the live stream stuff, it's, I'm going to stop the dark live stream material because it's not watchable. I figured it out. It's just not watchable. So if I'm going to do live stream, it'll be better. It'll be live and it'll be clear and it'll be dynamic. And it'll be watchable in a way that the dark stuff is just not watchable. And, But there's a part of me that likes radio because, first of all, I put the stuff up on YouTube and people listen to it. But we get addicted to likes. We get addicted to, and I've done it before, we get addicted to that stuff. You have 50,000 views on a YouTube video. It's like, man, I got something going on here. You got 50,000 people watch this. You ever get over yourself because there's 10 million people that watched a video about cats. Put that into perspective. So even at that level, I think we need to kind of address what we're doing and why. And I do it all the time. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Obviously, it's not because of the money. Is it because it's vanity? That people will like me? That they'll hit like when I put something up on Facebook? There's some of that. Sure, absolutely. But quite honestly, I think it's really just Jupiter and Sagittarius in my first house. And also the fact that I am living in this place where my work is my life. If I'm not doing this, I'm doing readings or I'm writing or whatever. I mean, this is my way to connect with people, my way to connect with you, my way to have a relationship in some ways. Because in my physical world, since I'm so tied into my work, it really doesn't happen all that much. So there's that too. But anyway, I think this is where we are. I mean, do we need to gaze into our navels to the point where, we're being excruciatingly introspective? No, I don't think so. But I think we have to really look at and examine what we hold as our sacred truths. This is Saturn in Sagittarius. And this is Robert Phoenix. You've been listening to the Friday FARcast. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to stay open to what's possible. Thanks a lot and have a great weekend.